So I've been a wedding and portrait photographer for roughly 12 years. And out of those 12 years, I've been full-time for 8. And out of those 8 years of full-time entrepreneurship, I don't think I've had a month where I've made under 10K in roughly 4 years. Since right around the tail end of 2020 was the last time I've made under $10,000 in a month. So today I just want to give a few pointers as to how I believe I've been able to consistently make over $10,000 a month for over 4 years, even in a challenging economy. And hopefully you can implement some of these strategies into your own workflow to make some more money. So first things first, what services do you even offer? Like when I first became a photographer 12 years ago, I remember only working in the clubs, and I was making $50 to $75 a night for 4 hours. So of course I was never going to be able to leave my full-time job doing that or make a significant amount of money. I don't even want to do the math, but I know I would have to work a ridiculous amount of club events at $50 to $75 a night to make $10,000 in a month. I did club photography for roughly 4 years of my photography career. And then I slowly started transitioning over to more private events. So that was baby showers, that was weddings, that was sweet 16s and quinceañeras. And all of those type of private events, typically you can charge more money for than a club event. So I went from making $75 a night as a club photographer to making $75 an hour working weddings or working baby showers or working sweet 16s. So another thing I started doing as a photographer, on top of offering additional services and not being so niche to the club, was videography. And if you're anything like me, for the longest, most photographers know how to shoot video. Most videographers know how to take photos. They typically prefer one or the other. So for the longest time, and I mean years, I knew how to shoot video, but I really despised editing video. As we all know, photographers, if you log on to social media, most social media platforms are very video centric now. They focus more on video content than still photography content. So while photography is still an amazing art form that I don't think is going anywhere, people like to see things in motion. So what I started offering in addition to my typical photography package was hybrid portrait sessions, which for me, I call them my signature session, which includes photography services and a short behind the scenes video reel of your session as well. So my clients get way more value. And because I'm offering them photography and videography in one package, they not only have more things to post and share from their session, but they have what everybody wants to see now, which is video. Like, I hate to say it, but like, people want to see things in motion. So not only do they have more content from their session to share, they can share the still photography, they can share the videography, but it provides more value to the client as well. And you can charge more because you're offering two services bundled together. So for me, a typical outdoor session would cost $300, and I charge $25 per edit or per photo that my client selects from their portrait session. My typical client will select probably 10 edits from each session. So a $300 session can easily turn into a $550 portrait session. My sessions start out as an hour, but you can add additional time for $200 per hour. So if a client wanted to do a 2-hour photo shoot, it would be $500, and that typical client would pick 10 edits from that session. It now turns into an $850 session from one portrait session. So on top of portrait sessions, I also offer my signature session, which is $1,000, which actually includes the 10 edits that most people select, 2 hours, which most people want, and a video. What typically happens with most of my clients, when they take their session from 1 hour to 2 hours, they typically have 2 to 3 outfits now. And they also have the ability to reach and go to different locations. So the more locations you allow your clients to have, the more outfits and looks you allow them to have, the more likely they are to pick additional portraits from the session. So on top of your typical portrait session or hybrid session where you're offering portraits and video, I always tell people to offer higher ticket items as well, like weddings. So for me, my weddings start out at $3,000 and they range from $3,000 all the way up to $6,000. So for me, my weddings start at $3,000, and as long as it's local, they go all the way up to $5,000. If it's a destination wedding, they start out at $6,000 and can go up to $8,000. I also have additional things that clients can add on, like wedding albums, which can be anywhere from an additional $400 to $600. So of course you do have to be mindful of your demographic and your area. Where I live in Connecticut, it is completely normal for a photographer to charge $250 to $500 for a portrait session, or to charge $3,000 to $8,000 for weddings, depending on their skill level and what the client is expecting from you. And I would argue that in most areas that is normal as well. So of course, having work that is worth that amount is important. So getting better at your craft is extremely important, and also marketing yourself. So with that being said, you need a couple things. First things first, you need a website. Social media is phenomenal. I love social media. I post consistently on Facebook. I post consistently on Instagram. I post consistently on Threads. TikTok, not so much. I'm still trying to get into that a little bit more, but I am on 3 to 4 platforms posting work constantly. So staying in front of people and promoting myself. You also need a website, because while social media is amazing, if you're trying to capture an audience, there are multiple social media pages that you're posting on, and you can honestly forget. I used to do this for years. I would post something on Facebook and I would post something on Instagram, and I check my Facebook DMs probably once a week and my Instagram DMs every day, just because I'm on it more. And I would check in after 6 or 7 days and I have 2 or 3 inquiries. And now when I reach out to them 7 days late, it makes me seem unprofessional. And more than likely the client already has moved on with somebody else. A lot of times it's the first person to get to the client or get back to the client who wins the gig, as long as their work is also exceptional. I also like having a website because that's where I force everyone to reach out to me through. Every time I post on social media platforms, in the bio or something of it shows normanoates.com, which will take them right to my website and they can send a contact submission. Also, if anyone were to DM me, I still send them a direct link. It's an auto reply that I have set up in there that'll send them right to my website so they can submit a contact form. That way, everything is in one place and I'm not forgetting where I reached out to somebody and I need to follow up on Threads, or I need to follow up on Instagram, I need to follow up on Facebook. It's all in one place. It makes it super easy to follow up with clients. And last but not least, I treat my business like a business, like a full-time business. I began treating it more like a full-time business before I even became full-time. I think a lot of photographers end up failing because they treat it like a side gig. They treat it like a side hustle and they don't treat it like a true business. At the end of the day, you need processes. No matter if it's a side hustle or not, you need contracts. You need an official way to take payment from people. For the longest, I was only accepting cash. And you know what cash does? It creates friction between me and the client, because if they need to pay me a deposit, I need to physically go meet up with them somewhere so that they can give me cash. But now that I've been using Square for the better half of the last 8 years or so, it's super easy. I can just send clients an email, they can pay it directly from their phone, and they're locked into my schedule. Square also allows me to be even more professional because they have contracts as well. So I have all of my contracts for events, all of my contracts for photo booth, all of my contracts for weddings, all of my contracts for photo shoots, video shoots, all in one profile. They're all templates, and depending on what the client needs from us, we send it out to them. So we seem more professional, and I'm reducing my liability, and the client feels more comfortable working with somebody who they know is going to show up because we have a signed contract and a receipt, and not hoping just because they paid me cash that I'm going to show up. So that's all I have for today. Of course, there are a ton of different strategies that other content creators share. I just wanted to share some of my reasons as to why I believe I was able to scale and consistently make over $10,000 a month. Hopefully this was valuable to you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Since I'm here, I was shooting this scene for this YouTube video, and when I was setting it up, I was like, this is how important lighting is to everything, right? And I'm naturally a natural light shooter, so I like everything in natural light. I won't use external light unless I have to. So typically when I set up this shot, this would be the range it would be in right now. I'm exposing the shot for me, so I look decent and exposed correctly. But the problem is, on a bright sunny day, especially outside, everything behind me is kind of just super blown out. Like everything out there is blown out. So I have this external light that I've had for years that I never used. I was like, let me just cut it on and play with it. So the next part of this is going to show you what it looks like with the light. And voila, this is how it looks with an external light source. So I'm still lit really nicely, but now you see the background, you can see the blinds, you can see what's going on back there. It doesn't look super, super blown out. And, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Just sometimes it's a lot to bring in external lights and stuff like that. But let me know, like, which one do you like? Do you like it natural or do you like it with the light? It's all preference, though, at the end of the day.